fine. Have confidence. Be strong. Be brave. And be open-minded. Right on. Well, welcome everyone. It's been a long time. We are back in the studios of NMI News Service, and we are tipping it off the hill with myself, and obviously you can see my guest here tonight, our delegate from Washington, Delegate King-Hinds, and yay! And now we have joining us, and thank you, Rep. TJ, representing CAGMAN, and who also chairs the Committee on Commerce. So thank you guys for joining. I'm glad that you guys are here. I always look forward. Miss Kim, but the last time you were here, I had like a, wow, when is she coming back?
Oh my God, I had so much fun.
I'm so glad that you're back again.
I had so much fun.
And I'm glad TJ's here to join us. TJ, don't be nervous. I know you said you were nervous earlier.
TJ's from the suburbs of Saipan.
That might be the next city, okay?
Yeah,
I thought, let's just not go there, but I have this,
the
huge...
Ville. You said from the hill to the Ville.
Right? So that might be the next...
the hill to the Ville in Cagman.
That might be the next city for all we know. I mean, my tourist district in Precinct 3 is kind of slow right now.
Yeah.
I got solar lights that look like they're for the house, but, waiting for someone to come and replace them because apparently they were supposed to be commercial lights. And I drove down there and I was like, what kind of lights are these? These look like it's for someone's house. And so the battery pack is probably like this size, right? I mean, I don't know anything about lights, but definitely does not look commercial.
Bro, you got a Chamorro size, Sydney?
Tamano ne pata Chamorro size. Even me, I'm like, God, whose door am I gonna go knocking down? Every time I call someone, are you that's somebody else? Are you that's someone else? Forget it, never mind.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to find someone. Hopefully they're watching off the hill. Might want to feel sorry for my paseo there and put in some donation for lights, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get the Titom Winoni.
Yeah.
Find the money.
Where are you going to get the money? You're going to take out a loan?
Hombre, si $1 million loan ko lang tisisi niya. It's kind of hard nowadays. But, that's the reality, right? We're here. Today we just had a meeting for Ways and Means, and there were some really tough questions that were asked. And you can only go so much before saying animu, and you feel it inside, right? You can only go on so much to say pasensyazi. You can only go on so much to say ayade polozangin fatali, right? I mean,
right?
We're here. Tali nestigit. This is it.
Yeah.
And what do? We hear people from, I don't know, Rep. TJ, if you hear people calling your office all the time, what do we do? And I'm curious to know what you say about it, because as a sophomore legislator, you're very, I'm not going to say that you're timid, but you're very cautious, right? And your words are very intentional. Not because you don't want to hurt anybody, it's because you don't want to convey something and to have it misinterpreted as something else, right? Yeah. So, I mean, what do you say with...
Well, to be honest with you, for the most part, obviously we get the calls, right? Yeah. The approach I try to take is, even if I can't fulfill the request or necessarily, help them all the way, I try to do something, at least make an effort.
Right.
I think, for the most part, people understand the situation that we're in.
That's
right?
Good.
And I think one thing that people just want is just to be heard.
Yeah.
And sometimes just taking that time out of your day to sit down and hear them out and try to come up with solutions. Sometimes you don't, sometimes you do. But I think effort is what counts the most in our people's eyes, right? And for me, any sort of progress, no matter how big or small, is progress, right? So whatever I can do in my capacity, I think people appreciate that, right? And that's just how I try to carry myself every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that positivity would linger, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of just, it passes on,
Yeah.
And I like that. I think maybe I might start practicing that a little more. I mean, I sit down, I talk to my constituents, and they're frustrated, right? And I have this sense, and maybe it's because I'm a mother, and it's different, right?
Yeah.
But for mothers, we're always going to have this sixth sense about, oh, we need to fix it, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
got to be fixed. No matter what, it just has to be fixed.
No, I completely understand
Yeah,
it.
you
But,
know.
even with me, right? It's just taking it in, even when you feel the frustration, right? And obviously, we're in this position for a reason, right? We
Right.
want to help and do everything that we can, and it's frustrating when you can't,
Yeah.
right? But I guess for me, what helps is just taking a moment,
Yeah.
realizing that hey, we're not superheroes, right?
Right.
We can only do so much.
Hey,
in our
speak for
capacity.
yourself, man.
I'm not a super. Maybe you guys are super women,
No, I don't know about all
but
I'm just kidding.
I'm not a
My
super.
cape shrank in the dryer, like, so sorry.
And got lost with my socks.
I'm not a Superman, so I'm gonna do what I can, but I'm a
Yeah.
human being at the end of the day too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to survive too. We all are, so
Yeah.
that's just how I take my approach. But I appreciate you because your approach too needs to be. It's a balance, right? Sometimes you need to set things off right there, and it's just my personality. My personality has always been kind of more withdrawn. Very naturally, I'm a very shy person.
Yeah.
I don't really go out. I'm
Yeah.
not a socialite, only around the people that I'm comfortable with.
Nice.
But sometimes I wish I had that in me, like sometimes I wish I could just say it outright. But I think it's a good balance, and that's why I love the house dynamic because there's a lot of different personalities and it forces us to kind of see like, where we lack, right? Some of the skills that I lack and vice versa. And that's the beauty of the representation, right?
Yeah.
It's we're all different people with different personalities and different priorities,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's our job to come together, and it's hard
Yeah.
to make a consensus, but we try our best. We
Yeah.
try our best, and I like that experience about
I
it
love
so
how
far.
we use that 20 as a number, right? 29. And we got Delegate Hinds go, wow, I got 400. Or like, oh, yeah. So anyway, and you talk about that when when you come back, you always try to, or not always, but you always make it a point to be within your community. So, I guess for you, you mentioned that the last time we were here
Yeah.
about just connecting, right? Has it been different from the last time you came out? Has the intensity of the people been different about what they're hoping that you can accomplish out there or what you're doing out there? Has it changed?
I think going back to your point, right? The original point is how many more times are we gonna tell our people sunguna
Yeah.
or napampasensyam zo
Right.
tanay animo, right? Like, so it's not necessarily that the intensity has changed. I think for me, it's the pressure I put on myself, right? I have always been the type where I'm incredibly aggressive and I expect things to be done at a particular time. And Congress, Brad, is incredibly frustrating, right? Like even here in the cinema, there's 20 members. But when you're dealing with 400 and, what's interesting about what's happening here in the cinema in terms of the House and the Senate, right? I think there seems to be this growing understanding of the urgency for everybody to work together towards a common goal. And so, whether people realize it or not, looking from the outside looking in and seeing the different conversations and the different moving pieces kind of starting to gel and mold, right? I see that as progress.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm seeing, right, this morphing of a direction.
Yeah.
Whereas before we kind of were really divided
Yeah.
in the same way that Congress in the States is now. I was just at Mount Carmel School, and I was in front of like the AP class, and I broke it down to them. I was like, in the States, it's Democrats versus Republicans.
Yeah.
It's like the Crips versus the Bloods. You know what I mean? Like,
That still exists, by the way.
I know,
That
right?
still exists.
It still exists.
Nude does not have a category in gang, right? Like the color nude, which is you
Yeah.
would depict as maybe the
Yeah.
independents here, right? No color, no nothing.
But I'm going to tell you this, okay? Even if you were to, let's say, for example, you were an independent and you go to Congress, you're going to have to caucus with somebody,
Right.
right? And you're going to be labeled with who you caucus with. So this notion that you can run as an independent and then go there and like, oh, you can go back and forth.
I love how TJ's
It just
laughing about
doesn't
that. Like,
exist.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't exist.
You're about to learn today, girl.
You're about to learn today. You know what I mean? And the reality is, right, is that that's just how the system is set up.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went to orientation, we weren't even sworn in yet. And we were divided by red and blue buses.
Really?
Period.
No shit.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
I totally forgot we're
Yes.
live. My bad. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
It's
I
just
forgot
like
to
that.
disclaim that we might use vulgar language.
It is just like that.
Wow.
Wow.
Right? And the only times that the two parties come together is for, like the general core classes. Like everybody has to take ethics,
Yeah.
financial disclosure classes, those types of things. And everybody gets put in this one big room. But in large part, you don't mingle, right?
Wow.
You don't mingle. And that's just the reality of how things work. I mean, is it like something I enjoy? No. I don't enjoy it, but obviously I have a job to do.
Right.
And it is what it is.
It's no different from being here. Really,
Yeah.
it really isn't. And I really hate the labels, right? Because then you feel like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, right? I'm supposed to be here, but then I'm leaning towards this side because it makes more sense to me, right? And then you get pulled over and be like, and you're just like, hey man, I'm just trying to do my job, right? But at the end of the day, right, you continue to express this thought. Like, it's not even a thought, it's how I feel as a person. I'm just trying to do my job to best serve my constituents and the people, as much as I can. And however I'm going to do that, I mean, I always say this, that's a you problem if you don't accept it, right? I mean, if you think I have a problem because I'm always angry, apparently, like, I've been now labeled I'm the angry rep. But I'm just passionate, right? And sometimes it comes off really strong because I'm just aggressive in nature.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that terminology
And then
up,
now
right?
we have TJ who's completely opposite, right? And I'm like, am I scaring this poor child? Because he's still, I look at him and he's like a baby to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Well,
50 years old, for
technically, he
crying
could be
out
our
loud.
son. How old are you,
Technically, yes.
What am I, 30?
Oh, technically,
33?
he can totally
I
be
could
our
have had
son.
you when I
girl.
was 17, honey.
He can totally be our son. So anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
what were you saying?
But that's the thing, right? And I think I don't normally make a point of raising this issue, right? But when women are incredibly passionate, we're called angry, right? A term not normally used with men, by the way. If you're a woman and you're passionate and you're outspoken, you are now angry.
Right.
You're berating people. You speak down on people, right? But if you were a man, Marissa,
Right. Good job. Nigi
That is not my viewpoint. But make that clear. I gotta be, and this is why I understand the way that
Yeah.
because I was raised by strong women too. My grandmothers they're educators, but they're very strong. You don't mess with them. You know what I mean? And that's just kind of how I was brought up, right? So I understand it. I understand that it's okay to be a strong woman. And I respect it. And I guess the narrative just needs to change a little bit, where regardless of your tone or how you come across, the respect is still there.
Right.
You think it's a generational thing?
I think it might be. Maybe my generation is a little bit more open to it, but I see you as an equal. I don't see you as a male or female. Regardless of your opinion, we can agree to disagree, but your approach or your status, I don't see gender at all.
That's awesome, because half the time I find myself being apologetic about being the person I am. And I think that's where I think the frustration stems for me, when I'm on the floor and I'm already trying to kind of speak my feeling. I'm almost like I have to apologize, right? And then all of a sudden my realness comes in, and then my tone starts to switch. I'm sweating. My everything is just, I'm just like, you can see it in my face, and I'm like not happy, because I feel like I'm being just restrained to be who really I am, and I'm just a Chamorro woman trying to do my job. right?
But also,
I don't
man,
know.
let's be honest. Some of the stuff that the two of you are facing right now is insane, right?
I like to hear what TG's point of view.
It's insane.
Hey, I
The
lose sleep, too.
choices that you have to
I
make
get
in
so much
terms of the
anxiety
budget.
sometimes for session.
I'm not y'all, but like, I'm like, glad that's not me.
Yeah.
But also, I'm like, oh my God, I need to do something to help.
But you're right. I think it's
Yeah.
it's kind of we're kind of at this turning point right now where it's not red or blue, and I think our people are realizing that too because it shows in the elections, right? People are waking up to not just voting for party, but voting for you as a person and who you are. You know, I can feel it too. With this legislature compared to last, I feel like there's a little bit more collaboration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I myself try to bridge the gap because I used to be a member of the minority, right? And I'm still very good with the minority, and I don't even consider myself a member of the minority. I'm just here as a public servant, and wherever I'm called, I'll be there. You know,
Yeah.
but I think that it's slowly getting there. But again, it's generational stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like not to toot our own horn, but our generation we can get over things a little bit quicker than some of the older folks.
Oh, you mean you're
that's-
not bengatibo?
What'd you say?
Like,
You're not
bengatibo?
Benga.
Like,
You
bro,
know?
I still remember the stuff you did to me in 1980.
But I understand it. Hey, I definitely understand it. But I think things are just changing. Things are just changing, and that's just the nature of life. You know, things change, people change, circumstances change, and I'm here for it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Would it be fair to say that our political culture is changing?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think?
I think so.
I think so too.
I think
right?
it's getting better.
Yeah.
I think it's getting better. It's not gonna happen overnight, but we're definitely learning from the mistakes of our past,
Yeah.
right? We're trying not to repeat that stuff, and we're trying to be the change.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not gonna happen overnight, but I think we're finally at a point where we're like, hey, can we just stop trying to patch things up and try to create real solutions that are gonna help everybody across the board, and not just work in silos.
So I'm gonna ask you a very pointed question.
Yeah.
What do you think what do you think? What is it that we're doing today that you think we're patching up? And I'm gonna direct the two of you. This is a question for the both of you.
I think, I can only speak for us in the House, right? But sometimes the legislation it's pinpointing different things, right? Instead of looking at, hey, can we fix the big picture here?
What is the big picture though?
Um,
I'm gonna prod.
I think it's not a one answer question. I think it's the whole system that needs to be overhauled. Everything, top to bottom, needs to be relooked at. Every
So
system.
what night?
I don't know.
Systems. He's saying systems, sis.
All right. If there was one thing that you could change that you think would make everything better, what would it be?
And don't worry, nobody's gonna hold you. No one's gonna hold you to that. I mean,
What
this
are we
is
talking about? Systematic wise, or like belief wise, or how?
You can answer it however you want to answer
Yeah.
it.
One thing that I wish could change,
Yeah.
that we could all just sit down and work together and include each other in discussions and not just work in silos.
The gamesmanship,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
the political gamesmanship.
Yeah, because I think we can we can still agree to disagree. We're never gonna agree 100% on
Right.
things, but I feel like a lot of the miscommunication is what causes the tension.
Or no
you didn't tell me
communication
that
at
you're
all.
going. Yeah, you didn't tell me you're doing this, or I wasn't involved in this, and you didn't. And then that's what causes the snowball effect,
Yeah.
and then it causes tension, and then it creates all this
Yeah.
animosity. But if we can learn to communicate and say, hey, this is our plan, right? And it has to start from the top, right? I'm involving you, all of us as leaders. This is my plan. I welcome your input. Let's bring it in. Let's all come like how you did when you
Right.
came from DC, and you brought all of us together as a house, and said, hey guys, no politics, no party, no nothing. I'm here. I need your help. We need to work together. Let's just get on the same page here.
Yeah.
And I think people appreciate that, regardless of whatever beliefs they have. But it's a matter of inclusion and communication. Communication is key, and that's that's my background is communication, and that's one thing that I know is that a lot of animosity comes from miscommunication.
Facts.
Yeah.
So if we can fix communication,
Yeah.
and we can include everybody that needs to be on the table and not work in
Silos.
silos or in the silence,
Yeah.
whatever, and then we can fix a lot of our issues.
How about you?
I have to agree with him.
Okay.
And I think, and that's just it. Everything is about communication, right? How we are transparent requires communication. How we want to be accountable requires communication. How we want to fix certain systems requires communication. And that's why for me, I look at the chairmans of these committees, right? Have those communications, right? And then come back and say, hey, this is what I found out, right? But some people work different, and I can understand that. I totally respect that. Like what Rep. TJ was saying, right? He seems to work better going out, talking to his constituents and getting it boots on the ground, right? I'm not judging him for that, but when he comes back, man, he can fix the problem, right? He was at the incubator as were you a keynote speaker?
Yeah.
Rep. Magnolia? Yeah. I mean, my God, that thing, I was like, hey, wow, that's great, right?
Yeah,
Good for him, because
yeah.
he's the perfect person to have for that. Not only is a business owner, but he's a small business owner who is the chair of commerce, who is now having this keynote in front of key people in our government, right? And we have to listen to him, because he's now going to set this path for small businesses or people that want to be entrepreneurs to take advantage of what we have. And he was very key in that design, right? They would have to talk to him, I'm sure, because a lot of that would come from some funding sources that would probably be required, right? And he's the best person that knows that. He's the chair of commerce. But
Marissa's not a hater. She just crushes a lot.
And I'm getting to understand that, maybe at first I was like, oh, man.
I come off very aggressive. But like the last time Kim was here, I said, the first time I met her was in Tinian.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my God. I freaking respect this lady, I mean, she just says how she feels and means what she says, and she just does it.
But going back to both your points about communication, right? I think that's kind of one of the models that I live by, man. Like, I'm not a mind reader, first of all.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I'm gonna tell you exactly what I'm thinking.
Right.
And if I don't tell you exactly what I'm thinking, right, how, I can't hold you or expect you to do X, Y, and Z if I don't lay that out.
Right.
And I'll give you a good example. So remember how earlier I was telling you, hey, Marissa, I'm so excited about tonight. I'm going to bring Caligüenaliling.
Right.
Okay. So they brought Caligüenaliling, and I was like, I'm going to save it for tonight. And I put it in the refrigerator. Okay. But my MO, what I normally do is, like, I tell people, don't take this stuff home. Yeah. But I did not communicate that I was saving the damn aliling. You know what I mean? And somebody took the aliling, and I couldn't be mad. And it was so good because the lemon was so good and the mix was so good. But I cannot be mad at anyone because my usual MO is like, please take whatever that's in the fridge home. I didn't specifically state that I'm taking that aliling to tonight.
And see what happens when you don't communicate.
We missed out on the aliling.
That's okay, because I'm allergic anyways. So Rep. TJ might have enjoyed it. I would have been like, oh, hi, Dave, Brad, you can take that. I'm not, But, and I think some of the things, too, that I gather when I go out in public is this humanization of people in leadership, right?
Yeah.
You step out and automatically, the notion here is you're 24 hours. You're always on 24 hours. So our circles get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Until you're just kind of like in your house. If you have a dog, you have a dog. If you have a husband or a wife, you have a husband or a wife, or your siblings or your mom, whatever it is. And eventually that's all it is, right? So I guess my question is, how do we, I want to know what makes you, and people I think want to know, Rep. TJ, what's your favorite food? I mean, what do you like to eat?
In general. I love to eat. In fact, a lot of my friends are like, you should start like a food blog or whatever.
Mukbang.
Right?
Come to a mukbang with me, TJ.
As you can tell, I love to eat, but I don't know. I don't have a favorite food. I think You know, here's the thing, right? You know, I've been to the States, right? I've traveled. But Saipan has some of the best, or the cinema in general has some of the best food in the world. And we don't even realize it.
Yeah.
We have some of the best Japanese food.
Yeah.
We have some of the best Thai food. We have
Yeah.
some of the best Chinese food. We have
Yep.
the best local Filipino food, you know. And that's why I love being here, because it's like we have a little bit of everything here. I've tried it, you know, other places, but for some reason here in the islands, man, like, and thank you to our local businesses that are still
Yeah,
keeping it
for
going,
sure.
our local restaurants, but
Facts.
man, we have some of the best food in the world. I'd say, and buffets too. You know, like our
I'm
hotel
horrible
buffets
to
too.
bring to buffet. Man. I will not make your dollar will not be worth it for me. I'll be like, how much is the buffet? 65. You'll probably get like $10 out of me. I'm a waste to take to buffet.
You don't like buffets?
I mean, I do, but I mean, Jesus, I can't eat all of it that's there. So like, I would be a waste of that body.
You gotta pace yourself. You know, you gotta go taste a little bit. That's the strategy.
cut all the carbs.
Taste a little bit, and then go back again. Taste a little
Yeah.
bit.
That's the idea.
If you go just get the whole plate, it's like you're done right there.
When I go to parties or something and you just pack it on and
Yeah.
that's it, right? But maybe if we start looking at parties as a buffet rather than lining up one shot and getting a plate that's like this big, right? Hey, just everyone sit down, wait for the line to, you know, lessen out a little bit and just get what you need and keep going back, right?
Oh,
I don't
girl,
know.
I go to a buffet. I have a strategy. It's
Exactly. Yeah. You gotta.
a strategy.
So what do you like to eat? I mean, what do you like to eat? Or, you know, I think with me, I just want to humanize all of us in this
Yeah.
sense, because we really don't have that time unless we're outside or with our circle.
Brad, I'm not gonna lie, I'm menopausing,
Oh my God, me too.
which means my taste buds are changing, you know. And one day I could be in love with this food item and like just want to eat that every day, and then the next day I'm like, "Ugh,"
You
right?
don't want it.
Don't want it. And so, you know,
Lately, then.
lately,
We can't talk about
Okay, liquid.
TJ
Lately-
won't have midlife crisis for
Man.
another 20 years from now. So you
Lately-
might not even, you know.
and then we gotta find him a girl. We're gonna marry him off, and we can both be the Nina.
I like my
Right.
freedom.
Yeah.
We can both be I can imagine TJ getting married. He's got like 12 Ninas and Ninus, and we're like, oh man, that's a bit sensuli. You can
Seafood.
retire, Brad.
Man,
I just like seafood,
You like
oh,
seafood?
like
Yeah.
raw, like, you know,
Kellywood, yeah. Yeah.
anything Kelagwin, bro.
There you
That's
go.
it.
You
Sour,
put in
so
front of
you're
my
into
face,
sour.
anything
Yeah.
Kelagwin, but it's not just about the Kelagwin, right? It's about the donni. I'm
Speaking of
addicted to
which-
that donni.
So speaking of which, you just had this thing on your Facebook about breaking up with Tini and Doni because you
No,
were
it's cheating.
Okay, cheating. So
Yeah.
you're cheating. But then now I have to ask the question. And I know you're a Tinian girl, but our rep here is from Rhoda.
Uh-huh.
So you got to tell me straight up, what is the truth? Who has the best Doni? You got to be real. You cannot just say Tinian.
I'm
because
gonna
you're from
keep it
Tinian.
real, and it's not from because I'm from Tinian. The heat,
It is, yeah.
right? The heat.
Okay.
I would say heat goes
The
to
heat
Tinian.
goes
Heat
to
goes to
Tinian.
Tinian.
Flavor
Taste.
goes to Rhoda.
Rhoda, though, you know, has
They got
different.
that Bishu Doni going on.
They
Yep.
have different ways of making that donni that's incredible. Rhoda Basco, I'm a fan. The only problem with Rhoda Basco is I can put a whole Rhoda Basco in my
Bottle
ramen,
in your ramen.
you
got a
know,
high tolerance.
because of the high tolerance,
Yeah.
right? So I put the Rhoda Basco and then the Tinian hot pepper. But even on Tinian, right? Like because of the cost of actually making the donni, you know, going out there collecting it, and then it's seasonal, right? And supply's low, demand is high. The cost is really expensive for these little bottles of jar, and so people have kind of like watered them down
Yeah.
with different, you know, like add the vinegar or the soy sauce, which I don't like.
Mm-hmm. No, you like it straight.
Bruh.
Grind it.
I just like
Ooh,
I
you
want to
like
see the
solid.
seeds.
Yeah, me too. If I
As a
don't
matter
see
of
the
fact,
seeds, I'm not
as a matter of
good.
fact,
I
if I
can't.
can just get
The sali
yeah,
and just eat it like that.
Yeah.
You can do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can do. I prefer sali too. So here's my question then, because you have liquid gold, which America depicts as oil, right? And then you have red gold, which is the doni, right? So how do we go from being this place of abundance of hot pepper to actually having almost no hot pepper at all? Do you think maybe we can somehow figure out a way where we can everyone just farm hot pepper?
Well,
or
if you
have
were,
a
if you
strategic
were,
location and everyone just farm doni, like the breadfruit thing that we got going on in Cagman.
if you talk to folks from Tinian, right, they're saying that doni is spiciest when it's picked in the wild. So you're not farming it, right?
Oh,
Okay.
so it's got to be.
Yeah. You pick it from the wild.
Really?
Because once you start farming it, then it degrades the intensity of the heat,
No
right?
kidding.
Something
And so-
about the bird manure, right?
Yeah.
That,
Okay,
Something
that's too
about that poo-poo
scientific, guys.
sauce,
Don't
you know
try to
what I
take me there. I mean, I
mean?
don't even know about all that. I'm just trying to be like,
Yeah.
okay, because I remember there's just one time, people are like, Dala, can't you guys just farm? And so the
No, it's not like that.
The price of doni can go down, and everybody wants a cheaper
Wangshang.
product.
Wangshang literally farmed doni, right?
Who's that?
Wangshang is a company out of
Is that the
Tinian.
Tinian,
Yeah, that
the
so like
bottled
they
one?
sell the Tinian something,
Yeah.
and you've tasted that, right? Like
think
that's
so.
Yeah,
peanut
it's
butter.
just- yeah.
That's spicy peanut butter. You know what I mean? Is what I call it. No offense to them, right? But my
they
level
still
of
there?
tolerance, yeah.
Yeah. But at least it
Yeah.
meets the
Really?
demand, I think. Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
Yeah.
but most people don't eat hot pepper like I do anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
Like
a
my
pepper level.
tolerance is incredibly high.
Hi.
I mean, I'm the Tinian hot pepper. I'm one of the Tinian hot pepper eating champions.
Really?
Shut the front door.
Hell yeah, girl.
No way. What year was this?
Like,
You gotta pull up the archive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real. Wait,
To
we
my
gotta call
social
Alvin
media.
at NMC.
yeah,
We know MVA doesn't collect all of that information. Maybe they do, but
they do.
Okay, so
Because it
we're
was
gonna
an
have to
MVA
ask you-
sponsored event.
Oh, we're gonna have to ask you
And I did it
about that.
not because I wanted to do it, but my cousin was like, somebody from Tinian needs to actually go compete.
And you won?
Well,
Did you get like a Donny trophy or something?
I got $300,
Oh, that's even better than
which
a Donny
paid for like
trophy.
my whole spending at the Pika Festival, which was awesome.
I love that. Are you serious?
I made a profit that year actually because there was a rice. There was like a bike race that I participated. So I got 500, and then the Tina pepper. I made a profit that year
Nice.
on my tongue and my legs.
Really?
Yeah, it worked out. It was a good year for me.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
I'm a
kid.
professional amateur in a lot of
You
things.
know, I hear that when you say professional amateur, I hear this a lot now. I mean, because I'm just really aggressive. So they're like, oh, I went to a meeting. I'm not going to tell you what meeting and who it was with. So
Girl,
we
then it's
had-
not fun.
Whoa, no. But there was 2 attorneys from the AG.
Oddsy.
Dos abogado. I should say it in Chamorro, so if they're listening, no. There were 2 attorneys from, the AG's office. So we're all sitting down, blah, blah, blah. And someone actually said it. And it goes, well, since we have 2 attorneys and not people that try to be attorneys, and I swear to God, I took that as like, is he talking about me? But I'm not, and I'm an advocate for just change, right? I'm not an advocate to make money off this stuff. I just want change. I come from advocacy. So when you guys as attorneys are advocates for, you're professionals. You went to school for this. I just wrote grants and I just said free legal aid service, and that was my project. Make sure that there's free legal aid services for the Commonwealth, and that was it, right? But I guess people seem to take this aggression or this passion and misinterpret that for something that, I'm not that person, so I should not try to be that. Almost like that
Like what?
Donny butter, right? You're not really Donny, but you're Donny butter.
Oh, you won in 2020. 2020 is when you won.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what it
That's like 5 years ago
Yeah,
only.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, girl.
I know, right?
That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
So maybe we should have one of those, like, the next Off the Hill, we should have like a cooking show. Brad, would that be, could we do that here?
Oh, we should have like a Pika eating competition.
Pika eating competition.
And talk about the issues as our mukus rolls.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. That would be really awesome. Really
That's like
awesome.
That's Hot Par.
That's
podcast.
Hot Par.
Guam.
Yeah?
Yeah,
They have
just,
that
yeah,
there?
they sit down and they just they eat all the local doni, right? They go from like the almond butter to the the really hot stuff.
I love
The
that.
real deal. The Grim Reaper.
Anyway, I don't even know if we have questions or what, but at this point, we want to give the shots out to, I don't know, Kim, where you got your Kelligwin, but of course, we want to give the shout out to where you bought your Kelligwin so that people can go out and try
Okay,
it.
since we didn't have the aliling, I stopped by at Nyao Poke, bruh.
Yay.
And honest to
Yay.
God, shout out to Nyao Poke. It's so cool to be able to just roll up to a shop. And that's a small business that just
Right.
started, right?
Yeah.
And grab something quick to go.
I haven't been yet, but I need to
Me
make
too.
stop.
I haven't
need to
been
make
there yet.
stop.
Is
You
it
gotta
good?
try it. So I've been back beginning of the month. Okay, which means I've been here for 2 weeks. Because what's today?
Gosh, that's the longest time you've been
Yeah.
on island.
Yeah, it's been the
Usually you're here
longest.
5 days and you're out.
I've eaten there 3 times.
Nice. So that
No
must be good.
kidding.
Yeah.
Do they have like the little perk cards that you go in there for you and
No,
since you're a frequent
no,
customer?
but like it's a really good deal. They have salmon, spicy,
What do you call that brown sushi? That's the one I want to try.
the inari.
Yeah. That looks good.
They had that the last time that I was there. They didn't have it this time, but like you just made my mouth water. Inari.
I like
Shout out to
Kelowin if
Nyao.
it's fish.
Small
Kelowin.
business in the
Nyao.
cinema.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
of course, we got to give the shots out to Rep TJ's Cup there. Thank you, Brad, for that.
Yep.
The
Siphon
chamber, right on.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Southern High School made this, right?
Yeah, that's where I actually graduated.
Hey, right on.
Interestingly
You're
enough.
you're not a AYUYU's
No.
CAG man.
Manta,
No.
Manta, Manta.
Man,
Ray, Ray.
my speaker's gonna kill me. Rep Diego's gonna kill me. Anyway, so can we just take a break real quick? We might need to use the restroom, and we might just maybe fill up on our coffee. I know I'm running low on my coffee, so I need some more coffee. Kind of get me going here.
Sounds
Thanks, Brad.
good.
Appreciate it.
All right, we'll be right back.
I should have said.
Hey, I'm Coach Derek Cutting, the owner and founder of Laddie Built Fitness. So no matter who you talk to here at Laddie Built, everyone feels that they are part of a family, part of a group of like-minded people. No one feels judged. No one feels like they're being teased or picked on or looked down upon because maybe they don't know what they're doing. They could be brand new and have no idea what they're doing. They might be overweight or really skinny and feel very self-conscious about themselves. But at Laddie Built, nobody judges here. And if you ask anybody here that might be in better shape than you or even not, but has experience in the gym, they will gladly help you through a workout and teach you a few techniques that could help you. So Laddie Built organically from day one, since the boot camp era, has organically grown this fostered environment of community and being a safe place, but a strong work ethic community of people that want to get work done. All I can say is that I put my heart and soul into it from day one. I treated everyone like that at the boot camp from the very, very beginnings, and everyone at the same time would treat each other like that from the boot camp era as well. And as we grew, as we got into a brick and mortar facility, we got bigger and bigger. I feel like people definitely just take this place as a home, as like their brother and sisters are working out next to them, not their enemy or not their competitor, So organically, it's just the vibe here is different. Everyone feels very, very comfortable, and I love the fact that it happened like that.
Got Medicaid? Paradise Dental's got you covered. We've got you covered from the moment you walk in the door with some of Saipan's best smiles. Medicaid covers your fillings, your extractions, and your checkups with no out-of-pocket expense. And Medicaid covers all of your x-rays without any additional cost to you. So remember, if you've got Medicaid, you're covered. Don't wait for a toothache. Call Paradise Dental today.
For up to you to decide, but in that budget there's been a lot of focus in terms of border enforcement. But aside and separate from that, right, one of the biggest conversations that is being had right now are these trade agreements with other countries. And that's why there's a lot of conversations about the tariffs and the president going out there renegotiating these deals with various countries. He believes in America first. And I don't think anybody could disagree with that. right? Because even in our community conversations, what is the first thing that we say when it comes to labor, for example, right? We want to hire our people first. We want to train our people first. We want to get our people to be in these jobs first. And so it's very similar. It's the same thought, right? You know, I've been back for a couple of weeks, and I've been having a conversation with Governor Apatang. And he is in a very, very difficult situation. But it's not just him. It's, you know, Congresswoman Flores back there who has to deliberate on this budget, right? Congressman TJ back there who's been focusing on how to streamline business processes and permittings, and, you know, and how that will help revive some of our industries, right? And what you have been probably hearing me talk about the most is the tourism industry, right? My focus on the tourism industry, but that's not the only thing that I'm focused on. There's a lot of conversations that are being had right now in terms of legislation to amend the tax code to incentivize investment here in the CNMI, for example. There's several bills that I'm working on with the Small Business Administration to figure out how do we tailor some of these rules and regulations to allow for people here to be competitive. You know, it was in the news, right? That $200,000 contract that went to Houston. People were rightfully upset because, you know, that's a contract that was given because of military development, and there's this expectation that when contracts are divvied out, that they go to directly benefit our community. And what we're seeing basically is this intermediaries that are getting, you know, the prime contracts and then subcontracting. Well, why can't we, you know, change the rules and regulations to allow for our businesses here to be competitive and to get that direct benefit, right? You know, there's a lot of barriers in Washington, D.C., aside and separate from the politics. As you know, Congress is very evenly split. And when you walk into the halls of Congress, it's either Team Red or Team Blue. But with that said, there's a lot of good bills that are coming out that are bipartisan, that are getting both sides support. And so we do have the ability to push things through. One of the things that I'm very excited to share is that one of my bills, for example, as it relates to our veterans, is the Travel Act. That just came out from the committee, and we expect it to go to the full House for vote. And, you know, in committee, we had 100% bipartisan support. All Democrats, all Republicans voted for it. So I'm really excited about that bill because it would authorize the Secretary of the VA to be able to assign specialists and doctors here so that the people who need the care don't have to travel to Guam. And we're looking at other areas of opportunities to provide that service. Aside and separate from the VA, I also serve on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and some of the work that we're doing there is trying to, you know, focus on modernizing our air traffic control system. Because guys, let me tell you this, we think our infrastructure is outdated.
You'll be fine. Have confidence. Be strong. Be brave. And be open-minded. Right on. Okay, I got my coffee fill. Had my sorry guys, I had my cigarette break. I had to. You know, I can only go like 15 minutes and then I need a cigarette. So we were like 30 minutes in. So thank you guys for being patient. You know, we're wrapping up, Kim, and I know that there was some conversations that I wanted to have, and you know, I'm so glad that Rep. TJ's here. but we're actually faced with a lot of issues, on the federal side. But I guess for me, and I don't know if TJ might want to chime in with another question, is, what are your sentiments? And then maybe we can have have you ask us a question, since you rarely have the time to come out and really sit down with us.
Well,
Right.
I think for me, right, I've been, reaching out to different pockets of our community. I did the Hill to the Ville on Tinian, Hill to the Ville on Rhoda. And then I kicked off at Cagman because I try to have conversations with the most remote parts, remote pockets in our community. And for me, Cagman is one of those remote areas in Saipan. And the goal basically is to do it in every precinct, right? And fit that into the schedule. But in a lot of these conversations, really, right, is about money. It's about money, right? And I think I've been very clear about my position in terms of trying to get as much money here into the general coffers, however which way. And the issue right now that I'm facing in terms of having these conversations on the federal level is, are we united in a direction in terms of how we are going to make these asks? And there's a series of things that are coming down the pipeline. So, IGIA is coming up mid-year, which has never happened before. But when we had my first IGIA, I said, listen, it seems to me that all the territories come here annually and then gripe, and then nothing happens, and then we do this repeat, rinse and recycle, right? But fundamentally, and I think this question is in everybody's minds, because I think that we do have an electorate who does stay in tune with what's happening. Now we have NMI News Service, who streams live in the morning and keeps our community engaged with the latest and greatest, right? And then we do have Mariana's Press, who breaks news constantly. And then we still have, the conventional media platform through the Mariana's Variety and these print newspapers, who is disseminating all this information. And, the fact is one of the things that I keep hearing from community members is the math is not mathing. Right? What's going into the piggy bank is not enough to cover what's going out of the piggy bank, right? And we saw last year's fiscal budget that did not fund any of the operations. And now we're looking at a next budget that is contemplating taking out another loan, right? And so, I look at the legislature and I look at the governor, and I do realize the difficulty of the task ahead that is in front of everybody, right? And so I think for me, what I would like to get a better understanding from the both of you, being members of the lower house, who is, in charge with the duty of controlling the purse, because that's what the House does, right? Is control the purse, right? What your thoughts are in terms of what is happening, right? We're seeing businesses close down. Tourism arrivals are nowhere where we need to be. And we are literally just have been cutting down to the bare minimal. I've been going and visiting even folks who don't have a federal nexus. And I'm hearing the same thing, right? I went and spoke with folks at DPS. How are they supposed to do their jobs if they don't have the money, right? And that's a common theme across. I met with PSS. We have a constitutional mandate, 25%. And, the first concern was the withholding of funds, but we've seen that released from the federal government. We worked hard. They worked hard. We supported them, right, in their asks. And so we've seen that money flow. But the reality is, right, is that it's not enough. And I think for me, I want to get an understanding of what the general sentiment is in terms of what's happening so that I can best relay that. And I think that the general public would like to kind of get an understanding of what the plan is, right, when it comes to this budget. And so, you know, that's a very open-ended question. You can answer it however way you want it. You know, what is your thought process?
You know, honestly, I speak all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I would love to give this opportunity to Rep. TJ because he's commerce. Right?
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear his point because I rarely hear him. And for you to be here, sir, is really an honor for me. And I would really love for you to take this conversation so that, you know, we hear from you also. And everybody hears from everybody on this table.
Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, right? Because you're a voice out there, and you're making a lot of difference because now they're finally hearing directly from us, right? I follow you. I see how quickly you're able to act when there's issues with any federal funding, right? And I look at it from a broad scope, right? We're going to continue to have these issues, right, until we find a way to stabilize our economy, right? And we're not the only ones that are feeling this. The whole world has been feeling it since COVID. It's just that we're feeling it more because we're so isolated and we're such a small community.
You know what I just
everything
heard?
is magnified.
Tyranny of distance.
Yes. And I think it comes down to, again, coming together, creating that plan, and finally going up there to the federal government saying, hey, we understand you give us federal funding, but there's a lot of regulations that are involved with these federal funding that handcuff us. You are in charge of our immigration, in charge of our labor, and it limits us from certain economic opportunities. You don't want us to work with any foreign entities? Fine. We have no problem with that. But at the same time, you guys have to also send some sort of help to us, right? Some sort of investment. It's not like we have American companies that are lining up through the door. A lot of them don't even know who we are. So I think it's a matter of coming together with you and being that unified voice to say, hey, we're here, we're American soil, we need your help, we need you guys to work with us to make things work because we're trying to find different avenues. There's been opportunities like, say, for instance, in the marijuana industry, but yet we cannot export because of federal regulation. Right? There's obviously different investors that want to come here, but it's hard when we're handcuffed by federal regulation.
Yeah.
And I think it comes to a point in time where, again, the 902 talks are very important, but if we could somehow just get in the room with the president and let him know who we are and that we're here and that we want to work with them and we just need a little bit of help, and with that help, we'll make sure that funding goes to where it needs to go and do things right and account for every single penny if it needs to be accounted for. Help stabilize our infrastructure, help stabilize our education, our hospitals, our public safety, the main three things. Then we'll be good. Then we'll be good. Until then, we're going to continue to try and go on this hamster wheel until something gives.
So I guess the challenge, right, is to a certain extent, I think that they're still going back to that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Right? And I think we're all skirting around what this hamster wheel is, right? And for me, we're going to go to the federal government and say, hey, give us this money and we're going to be accountable for it, right? But our history speaks otherwise,
Exactly.
right? And so, you know, I'll put this out here as one of my biggest concerns right now. So, you know, we've been fighting tooth and nail to, get the Stop VAWA grants, which funds Carrie Dot released. But the challenge right now is that we have not completed the audits, right? And, you know, it makes me really happy that as one of, his first acts, the Governor Apatang has signed this executive order to kind of just rally the troops. So this is an area of focus and priority, because my concern basically is that because these audits are behind, right, that it's going to impact other federal opportunities, other federal funding streams, right? And Doge is a real thing, guys. It's serious.
Oh, believe me, people
Right.
here want Doge.
Yeah. Do you
True
know?
story, that's
no,
a fact.
True story.
Yeah.
True story. Do you know how many requests I have gotten, especially in the beginning, when Elon Musk, right, was right in the thick of, like, can you just get them to come here, right? And I guess here's my thing about that, right, is that we ourselves are not holding ourselves accountable, right? And so how do we go and ask for more money when we ourselves cannot hold ourselves accountable, and now we're going to the federal government and saying, can you please hold us accountable? How does that look in terms of the larger conversation, right? And the truth is that we can, but to the earlier conversations that we had about culture, political culture, right, and the ways that we have been doing things in terms of hiring, retention, continuity, training, and our inability basically to say, hey, politics aside, this person, right, or this position is sacred because this is an important funding stream, right? But we can't seem to get over that hump, right? And I think
that's a reality.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the hamster wheel?
Yeah, and that's why I think, again, we're at this turning point.
Yeah.
I think things are changing in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think with the leaders that we have in place, we can make this happen.
Yeah.
I think we're all open-minded enough and tired of the
same old.
I am. I grew up, and it's been the same story. I even look back at the old KSPN news. It's the same story. Deficit, not enough money, austerity, all of this. I grew up with it, and that's why I decided to. Hey, when it was my turn to lead, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try and do something. Even if it's whatever little that I can do or whatever, I can sit here and complain, or I can try and be a part of the change. Right. And, I hope that more of us, the younger generation too, can step up and say, hey, let's be a part of the change. Let's work with work all together to help bring that change that we need. And that's why I stepped up to do this. It's not an easy job. A lot of the people in my generation are like, hey, I can go make more money elsewhere, go off island and live my life and not deal with this stress, right? But I truly care about our people and our direction, and I'm trying. And I'm not giving up. But I think, again, it's all a matter of timing, right? And I think we're at that turning point and
point of inflection,
right? And again, there have been mistakes in the past, and I'm not one to. Yes, we need to look at our past to learn from our mistakes, but I'm one with the mindset that we can move forward. I like to think positive. I like to think that we can get rid of that negative image that we've created over the years and create something positive if given the chance and with the right leadership and the right people involved. And I have faith and hope in the people that are here and the people that will be stepping up in these leadership roles. And I'm just thankful to be a part of the process right now. It's been the hardest I think time in history to be
what a time. What a
public
time.
leader, and
what a time.
Since I've gone in, it's just been gray skies, but I still try to keep my head up and say, hey, you know what, like, I care about our future, and whatever I can do to contribute, whatever good energy that I can bring to the table, let's bring it. But at the same time, it's okay. How do we find the common ground between ourselves and also our federal relationship, right? Because I see it. You saw that 400 million, whatever, that was just labor, but can we blame them? How could we have used it if we're being handcuffed, right?
Yeah.
So is there ways that we can repurpose this funding or use the funding to where it makes more sense for us and our demographic and where our challenges and the fact that we don't have certain services that the mainland United States provides, you know, and again,
Actually, I want to correct that.
yeah,
I want to correct it. For
yes,
the
go
record.
ahead, yeah.
The authority for those funds expired.
Okay, yeah.
You can't ask to repurpose something
True,
that doesn't exist.
true.
Oh boy.
True.
You know what I mean? Like the termites have eaten the
Yeah.
lumber. The lumber no longer exists there where you can use the lumber to build, right?
Yeah.
And so, that was very clear. But like, people want to frame certain conversations and narratives to make sexy headlines.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so when we're talking about sexy headlines and narratives, and we have all of these sources, you have individual influencers, you have, the press, freedom of the press, you have everyone putting in their 2 cents about stuff that's happening. And I know this is a sensitive issue, Delegate, but this is, again, topics of conversation, and you talk about the blue and the red and the political culture, and this is where we're at.
Yeah.
Right? This conversation is still here. And part of this conversation, Sis Chalu, that I have to ask, because they were like, how is it, right? And we're talking about mistakes from the past moving forward.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about sexy narrative, one of the topics that came up in one of my coconut tree discussions under the table and just,
Picnic table
talking.
conversation.
Yeah, just one of those, right? Is when Kash Patel came out and said that, he was gonna, there was findings, there were no findings in improprietary,
like the
actions
investigation of it was
against,
closed?
against, the former governor, Ralph Torres. And then all of a sudden, the conversation was like, so he's not guilty. Well, first of all, that was a letter, right? And so these things now are starting to kind of like stick. And we're trying to find a respectful way or a nice way to not take away from what you're doing, but how do we lead that conversation when there was actually no official letter, but the narrative was said that he was almost kind of like literally exonerated, right? Like how do you fix that? How do you entertain that, right?
So,
And it's really sad that it came to that.
Let me
that
give you some
point,
context, right? Because context matters.
Absolutely.
And one of the things from, I think, a lot of people in this community, right? The question was like, there was this raid that happened.
Right.
The wrath of the federal government came, descended in the form of 60 FBI federal, 60 federal agents in the CNMI. And years later, nothing's happened. But not only, nothing has happened, but $26 million was spent
Right.
on that particular investigation. And so the question is, where is this, right? And so being a member of the Republican conference, the conference basically invites different cabinet members to interface with members of Congress. And so you can ask any questions. And so I took that opportunity to say, hey, FBI director,
Right.
this happened in my community, and my community wants to know what is happening with that investigation.
Right.
Because not only did that have such a community impact,
Right.
it has had a rippling effect in terms of how people on the federal side views the Commonwealth in terms of public corruption. And, that wheelhouse belongs to you. We want to get an update as to what's happening. And that letter was a response to that
To your question. Okay, see.
That was simply what that was.
Right,
and his
right.
response was that, the investigation is wrapping up and we are going through the procedures. One of which basically is that if you, obviously when they did the raid and they executed the search warrants, right? Like they collected certain evidence. And a part of that letter basically said they're going through the process of returning the evidence back. That's all that letter stated. And
Right.
people have asked me to further inquire. And I'm like, I'm not, because that's the job of the Department of Justice, and I don't want to be seen as trying to influence anything in one way, shape, or form. That's not the point. I just want to know.
Right,
What the
exactly.
hell?
You just want to know.
You spent $26 million.
You could have given that to us. That meant we could have given it to.
$26 million, right?
Right.
And then what?
Yeah.
Right now, one of my first interactions with a member of Congress, when I said, "Oh, I'm Kim from the Marianas," his response was like, "You guys are so corrupt."
That's horrible.
Horrible. It's crazy, right? And so that is kind of one of those things when we're talking about asking for more federal money,
Yeah.
right? It's tied into this larger narrative that we're corrupt.
And that goes back right to what Rep. TJ, I think, just a little of what Rep. TJ is saying. We're so hostage, handcuffed, right? And they made a lot of decisions that placed us in this situation. And we have the presence of the FBI here in the Commonwealth. We do. But they have been inactive. I probably might get shot, or if I get assassinated, you guys, this conversation happened at some point, okay? I'm just going to let you know that. But again, right, this conversation, they're here. People have been saying what's happening with the FBI, what's happening with the FBI. Not for that particular case, but just
in general.
any case in general, right? Yeah. And then there has been these FBI agents that came and left, right, for whatever purpose, but they just left. And then you have FBI agents who are actually fired from their location, which is in the Commonwealth, and nothing was said to us, right? So do I feel safe with their presence? Probably not. Because really, where do you stand? Because if it is to even protect us from whatever it is, terrorists, KGB, the Chinese mafia, whatever it's called, right? Then where are you, right? Where are you? And so I think I wanted to ask that question because a lot of people don't feel safe with their presence. They feel like they're just here to kind of say they're doing everything bad.
I disagree. And I'll tell you why.
So,
I disagree. I'm a big fan of law enforcement. I come from a very strong law enforcement family. My brother is a detective. My nephew, he's a police officer. But also, I regularly, my husband as a prosecutor is in law enforcement, right? And, here's the thing, guys, is that, when you're going through a normal course of investigation, right? Like, there's a lot of things you can't share with the public,
right?
Because it compromises prosecution, right? And that's just the nature of the process. Now, I think what we're talking about is that there are distrusts with certain people, not because of the FBI, but because of their personalities, right? Like a lot of these are personality driven, assigned to a particular person, but
or just what the media has put out. I mean,
exactly. And thank you for bringing that up because there's garbage about the CNMI that's going on right now, right? With regards to
Brad, not that wasn't for you.
No, there's
he might
what
up
did
his
I
rate
do?
and he can't afford to be paying this.
but it's not local media, right? It's not local media.
That's
right?
all we have for today, folks. We'll see you next week.
I was like, oops, I'm gonna cover that real quick, sorry, sir.
But it's not local media.
No, it's not. That's true.
And so here's the thing, right? Is that all too often, and what has been happening for as long as till now, and we're seeing that creeping up now, right? Is that you have outside voices wanting to supplant the voices of the people who live here and who want to create these narratives about who we are and what this community stands for, right? To include a lot of these conversations about corruption and Chinese influence, CCP, whatever, right? And how we're being taken over by China, okay? And as part of this conversation is my advocacy of opening up all markets to include the China market, right? Which,
but
by the way,
there's a safeguard to that, though, right? There's this process in which they have to be screened. To
the
come.
EVS tab,
Right.
Okay. But if you look at some of the information that's been put out by this one particular person, because at this point there's only one particular person who's pushing this narrative, right? Who's not a freaking U.S. citizen, right? Not a U.S. citizen from Canada, you know what I mean, who's part of a think tank, right? And I think I've shared this before, right? Think tanks basically,
Oh, yes, you did.
they are people who present information to persuade to do certain things, right? Like they're trying to push a certain narrative. And I think we can all agree. Whether you agree with everything she says, right? We can all agree that there's certain types of investments in terms of national security that needs to be made here. And think tanks, when they make these presentations, is to advocate for those types of investments. But all too often in those conversations, the economic realities are on the ground, right? Because if you read her submission to Congress, doubt a ferry between Guam and Rota is gonna cure our economic problems.
Are you kidding?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what I mean? And now, if you look at the timeline in
I love
terms...
how Rep. TJ just cracked up about
No,
that.
in terms of like different administrations.
Yeah.
If you were to break that down, cherry picking of information to fit a narrative, right? And, here's my thing. One of the things that I have been really just about, right, is that every time I sit in these conversations, a couple of things are said. Three things. We're a strategic location. We are a military outpost. Right? And what is the other one? We're the tip of the spear.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Right? That is how the Marianas is currently being described. And if you listen to these people, that's all they associate us with.
Right.
Never mind the fact that there are people who live in this community.
Right.
Right? We have our own culture. We have our own identity. And so their job is to feed into that narrative that we're the tip of the spear. Everything is national security. But man, we have been existing since ever since.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We are more than just being the tip of the spear.
Yeah.
Right.
So then here's my question then, Delegate. I mean, I know we're already fast. We're almost done. Sorry, Rep. TJ, I know you need to leave.
No,
but
not at all.
so here's my thing. We always have this. We have the 902. That's there.
Yeah.
And, the governor has the powers to design this team. I feel like the team doesn't fit my need. Right?
Yeah.
They see it as a economic perspective. I get it.
Yeah.
But the covenant is not just 902. The covenant is plenty things outside 902.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if your office can have these, invite us and say, hey, these are the young leaders. And 902 are leaders of, maybe 20 years ago,
Yeah.
that have these businesses that they need to lobby for, or what have you. I don't know why they go, why they get picked. There's no criteria. They just send a list and that's it, right?
Yeah.
You can't say, can I get on the list or nothing, right?
Yeah.
But I just feel like they're not expressing what I want to say.
So why don't you say it now?
No, I want to go to DC and I want to meet with you. I
go
want
to
you
DC
to
too.
take us there. Yeah, I want you to be like, girl, here's the list. Y'all coming. Can you guys free your stuff here? And, we're all going to stay at the delegate's apartment and eat her
Feel free to
doni
come
and,
crash.
and we'll all put into this thing. But I just feel like, in terms of era and in terms of what we're trying to do, I think our generation has been muzzled for a long time because we have been we conform to what the culture says we're supposed to do. Argi, tap mo, they're, the manamku. And I get it. I respect my manamku, but sometimes, who's to say they might just get it wrong, right? I don't know, but I'm just saying that I would love for an opportunity to have a 902 that also involves our generation,
Yeah.
right?
I get
and
it.
here you have Cam. Cam is probably old enough to be my grandkid if I had a Cam. How old are you, Cam? Oh, Jesus. Okay.
For sure.
For sure. But definitely, right? I mean, what about him, right? What about this voice, right?
Yeah.
What about these kids who are going to be here long after we've been gone,
Yeah.
right? What about putting their thoughts and putting that and compiling all of that and saying, this is the people
Yeah.
of the 902. This is who we are. This is what we're trying to tell you.
Yeah.
I guess that's my ask. My ask is, can you please have a separate 902 that would involve younger people like us?
Man, so 902 is the provision that creates the vehicle to be able to have this federal to CNMI conversation, right? You invoke the 902 to have those conversations.
Right.
And, you know, the delegate's office really doesn't have a role in that.
That's too bad.
Can
we joint resolution that?
After. It's after, right? So it's normally heads the executives who get to talk, which is the president and then the government, the governor, right? And the governor's the head of state. And so these two people have a conversation. And then one of the reasons why it's very important that the delegate and the governor are aligned in some of these asks is the governor makes the ask and I do the follow through in the back, right? Because a lot of times we're talking about funding requests. And so it needs legislation, right? And if we don't agree on priorities, right, then it's problematic.
Not, right.
But the thing is my job is not to dictate priority. My job is to advise the governor as to what will work and what will not work based on the conditions in Washington, D.C. And the types of conversation that folks are having on the ground. And so that's kind of why, right, I've been very vocal about, hey, we need to be very clear about the messages that we're sending to Washington, D.C. And so I'll give you a very particular, like a straight up good example, right? I'm in Washington, D.C. and saying, leche, bro, the world in the cinema is crashing. Thought that's a lot for this, that's a lot for this. But then, you know, we introduce a budget that has a $20 million increase. How does that? It makes me look like a liar.
Yeah.
It makes me look like a liar when I'm saying the CNMI is crashing. But then here is a budget that has a $20 million increase.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
How does that even make sense, bro?
And then I think, you know, Rep TJ.
You know what I'm saying, bro?
Right?
You know what I mean? It's like you're going to your mom and saying, Mom, I'm broke.
The math not mathing.
Mom, I'm broke. But I'm going to buy a Lexus.
Right? So, you know, and I think that's the thing, right? I think the one thing that we can get out of this is that, you know, even with Rep TJ as being a voice and being in the label, you know, which we really, really hate, is, you know, he's in the minority, but there's this conversation with, you can see it already. It's starting, you know, we're all getting together. And I think the general consensus is, like you said, we got to develop this plan.
Yeah.
Sooner than later, right? And what does that look like? All we know is that, at least for me, is it has to complement your ask.
Yeah.
That's what I know, right? We know that we all have to work with you, and we all know we have to work with the governor for the greater good, right? This is far beyond local politics. This is much greater than that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I can take away. I don't know, Rep TJ, if you
I'm
want
all for it, you know.
to say anything else.
Call the meeting tomorrow. I'm there. You know? let's all just.
I honestly think that we should regularly get together, right, and talk about priorities, because at the end of the day, it's about priorities, right?
Yeah.
And when you sit in the delegate's office, guys, like, you know what I mean, like tourism, everybody thinks that all I do is tourism. But, Brad, I'm dealing with dogs trying to be transported.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
You know, fire ants.
Yeah.
Everything, Brad. You know, I
imagine.
just don't talk about it, right? Yeah. But there's just a lot on the table.
Yeah. And we can't put it all on you. It has to be an effort from all of
I
us.
don't have a problem.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem, right? And my job is not to set priorities for the CNMI. Yeah. You know whose job that is? It's all of our jobs.
Yeah.
Right? And the thing is that when we're coming to the table and having these conversations, we all have to be able and willing to compromise.
Yeah.
Because we all know as elected officials that nobody is going to get what they ask for 100%.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's the facts.
Right?
Facts.
And the thing is that, like, you in your precinct 3, you know, how many voters do you have there?
Oh, We have about maybe 3,000 some. But
Right.
my biggest issue is that casino building. That's what they complain about all the time.
Yeah.
Not fire ants.
Not fire ants, none of that, whatever,
dogs,
right?
Yeah.
Like,
and
but-
speed bumps.
and that's the issue, right?
Yeah.
And what is the primary issue in your precinct?
And
our
playgrounds.
our
The roads.
Yeah.
Our roads, are gonna be-
The roads,
Yeah.
right?
Road speed bumps. Yeah.
Right.
Road speed bumps. Yeah. It's the
So
same
look
thing.
at same island,
Yeah.
same island, but different priorities,
Right.
right? And how do we all get together and rank those in orders of priority that best delivers for the entire Commonwealth? And that's the type of conversation that I want to have, right? And what I've been very blessed, to be honest, because you guys have been amazing in terms of just being accessible to have these conversations. So shout out to you guys.
Well, we love you, you know, and maybe that's something that we can maybe strategize with Rep TJ and, you know, everybody, right? Is this ask, like, you know, the CJMT is one kind of model, right? Get us all together and what is the priority?
Yeah.
Right? What is the inventory of the things that we need to get done? Can this be supported by federal grants?
Yeah.
Is this local, right? Separate the two first and foremost.
Yeah.
Then we can understand how much do we really, really need, right? In terms of, Kim, please, delegate, por favor, ayúdame, Guinea, because these are all federal funds and we're going to have grants being pumped out. Whatever data you need to support it will help you. But on the local side, right, what Rep TJ was saying, we need to release the handcuff. Because we can't do much without the economy being
Free
fused
your
in.
mind.
I swear to God.
And the rest will follow.
Right. Don't be
Yeah.
colorblind.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Again, I think we should wrap this up. I think this conversation can go further. I don't know when you're leaving and when you're expected
right,
back,
so-
but please share that with us so
right.
that we can have another conversation.
So I have some very disappointing news. I was supposed to actually leave on Monday to bring a Codell back here, but that has been rescheduled until February. I'm disappointed, but I'm glad it's still happening. It's just pushed down a little further down the line. But there is another Codell next week that's happening on the Senate side that I'm going to hop over to Guam and
Nice.
and have that conversation in terms of some of these stuff that we're talking
Yeah,
about, right?
yeah.
But I head out towards the end of the month, and I don't think I'm going to be back because of the schedule. Like the session in September, October is pretty much packed. I have 1 week in September, that week of the 25th, and I have gotten an invitation to be a part of Codell to go to Japan to meet the Japanese Prime Minister and the
Wow.
Japanese and the Korean Diet. And what I'm really hoping is to be able to also swing an invitation to our governor and different folks from the legislature
Awesome.
as part of this Codell, to be able to fold you guys into what I'm doing and my asks
That's
with the
awesome.
Japanese government, because, you know, I think the Japan market is a preferred market, right? But we also understand the realities of the challenges of that market. But the more we go back to building those relationships and figuring it out. So I'm trying to figure that out right now as we speak. But that's on my radar as something to do. And so when that is currently scheduled when I'm not in session, and when I'm not in session, I'm either doing Codells that are relevant to the CNMI, or I'm home, which means if I do that Codell, I won't be able to be home until probably November, which is the
Wow, right before
longest
the holiday.
stretch
Yeah.
that I'm going to be going. But, you know, I will keep you guys posted and updated along the way. But that is something that I'm really working hard to do, is figuring out how to use this opportunity, being a member of Congress, being a part of this Codell, having a conversation with the Japanese and the Korean Diet and the Prime Minister. How do I include members of our legislature to be able to begin that networking and use the
Yeah.
doors
Right.
that have been open to me to bring you guys to be a part of that conversation. And so I'll keep you guys posted, because that's something like literally like, if I can make that happen, you know, and that we can make those connections, not just on the delegate level, but on legislator to legislator.
Yeah. You know,
Right.
and we're hoping that that comes to fruition, delegate, because our offices would be probably, hopefully, expect an invitation for our attendance.
No, so what I'm doing, so we're working on that right now, and we're looking at, if that's even possible, right? Because of security protocols.
Hopefully, yeah.
But if it is possible, then you will be hearing shortly and getting the invite.
That's awesome.
You know?
That would be great.
Yeah.
And again, right, our commerce chairman is here. We also have our we have a lot of the chairmans that can intertwine with everybody, right? Depending on what it is that you want to do. And obviously this is for the bigger picture. And I just want to
business
thank
investment
you.
from
Yeah,
Japan.
absolutely.
Let's bring them back.
I agree.
Let's
I
bring them
totally
back.
agree.
And how do we bring that back? It's by
Yeah.
building relationships.
Yes.
And we have a long way to go in terms of rebuilding that relationship. And the only way we can do that is if we have these face-to-face,
Yeah.
right? And I know that there's a lot of people in our community who's like, oh, pafan travel talo. No? Like, that's the biggest complaint when they see members, leaders go and do these travels. But there's nothing that beats, right? Representative Marissa, Representative TJ actually being physically able to hold hands, having a conversation, having that human connection
Yeah.
with another member of the Japanese
Yeah.
diet,
Yeah.
to exchange ideas and to have that face-to-face conversation, right? And people are like, oh, in the day of technology, just Zoom.
That's different.
But it's different.
That's not a
It's
Zoom.
different,
Yeah.
right?
And-
That's not a Zoom conversation,
Right,
you know?
right.
And so what I'm literally trying to do is use the opportunities and privileges afforded to me as a member of Congress and using me as a vehicle for all of us.
I love that. I love that. Well, that's a nice closer. Thank you, Kim. Again, Rep. TJ, any last words before we close it up?
I just want to say thank you for the invite.
This was fun. Are we going to do it
I
again?
know.
We met at the town hall, and when you told me about it, I was like, beautiful.
Yeah.
We need more of these kind of conversations.
Yeah.
Sometimes outside the office, we can
Yeah.
relax a little bit more and be more open. And these kind of conversations and open dialect is welcoming. And I just want to let you both know that I really look up to both of you as strong leaders of
Not
our community.
angry?
And
Not angry. I know, right? Thank you, TJ.
strong.
appreciate you.
I'll say strong. Strong is the word. But just know that I look up to you guys as leaders, and I thank you guys for this opportunity to sit down with you. It's an honor and a privilege for me to interact with both of you. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Are you gonna be the one to give him the $200 for saying that?
We'll look into the installation of the speaker, and maybe we can put a print, we can paint it, donate it in collaboration with.
Cost share.
I'm just playing.
Right, cost share.
Yeah.
But again, thank you, Commonwealth. Once again, it was a nice time to chat with you off the Hill, with, of course, our delegate who always comes with the information that we need and always has the answers to the tough questions that we ask. And I have to give it up to Rep. TJ because every time we're in session, he's listening and he's so attentive, and you never really hear his voice. And today I was able to hear his voice, and you know what, TJ, you have a beautiful voice, sir. And I love your hat, spread love. You come from a good place. You got a lot of ideas that we should really start honing in on, because I think it's for the common good to work to build this economy, and I think it's just in line with what we all want to do to survive, so that we can once and for all thrive as a Commonwealth. So thank you, CNMI. Thank you, Brad. We love you guys. Mwah. Off the Hill. Adios.
Thank you.
Yay!